G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video. So here we go around Brands Hatch Grand Prix in Group 4, and I can tell you right now, I really enjoyed this combination. I felt really at ease with trying to control the Megane Trophy here. Obviously that's the car I've chosen in Group 4 for this particular run around these couple of daily race Bs, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so I was really able to control the car nicely without even having to think about it, which I often do a lot. And that's when I make the most mistakes, when I really have to concentrate on trying to control the car. It's obviously a lot to try and control your car and think about racecraft at the same time. But I can tell you that we had a couple of good results around here. So Brands Hatch, this is a full GP circuit, so you've seen the Indy circuit, so that's where you sort of go straight at turn 4 here to go back onto the main straight. We did that in the Porsche 356s, I think that's what it was called. Anyway, you know what I mean. But instead we go for a sort of tight left, sorry, at Surtees and go down towards this section here, the narrow sort of long straight, and then the square bit, and then we lead back onto the main straight. We're in Group 4, of course, so this is the Megane Trophy Gr.4, very planted car. You can see all of the aero work that's gone into making this car as planted as it could be, but obviously that means to a very, very controllable car. We cross the line in qualifying with it 1 minute 30.2. So I felt like I was able to really maximise the track in the Megane Trophy, as I wasn't really too worried about spinning out. You could, for example, going out of Druids, oh my goodness, you could just slam the power down, the car would just drive out. No oversteer, no understeer. Oh, it was an absolute beautiful car to drive this. But we'll see if we can have a good couple of races around Brands Hatch here. Well, actually, I've kind of already spoiled it, haven't I? I've told you that I had a couple of good results. Are the good results in this video? That's the question. You'll have to watch to find out. Maybe I put some bad results in here to spice it up a little, of course. That probably isn't too hard to do, considering who's driving. But we'll finish up the main straight now at the start of lap 1, going through Paddock Hill Bend, turn 1. Let's see if we can get any positions, or if we get lunged into turn 1. No, we actually get through there nicely. Probably could be able to take more speed through there, but go up to Druids. I sort of accidentally go for the move on the Jap player there. I really kind of didn't mean to go for that move there, as I just sort of broke a bit late. And oh yeah, he's gone back thinking, oh yeah, he was lunged. But that is the end of him. Maybe I was going to let him back pass, but not after the retaliation move through there. Of course, two wrongs don't make a right. So this is Surtees there. That's not a right, that's a left. In case that's a left there. But yeah, so that's Surtees. It just goes back onto the you go down. But that was really all there was to that race. I just settled into second place for 4 laps, and that was it. And we bring home a second place, 5 seconds off the leader. So have a look at the total time by the leader there, 6:06.0. So that's kind of a time we're going to have to aim for if we're up against that particular player there. But we'll start the next race now. Let's see where we are. We're in first position. I think that's me on the grid. There it is. We are on pole with a 1:30.2, which is over 2/10 quicker than the guy in second. Obviously that's not a massive gap, but just have a look at the livery we're using. So of course the Megane Trophy was a car that had a die-cast little Hot Wheels model in the latest Gran Turismo Hot Wheels car. It had a model based off it, and this was the livery on that car. The little Hot Wheels logo on the back bumper there was absent on the model, but it's tiny enough, it's so people following can know where it's from. That's actually quite a plain livery. It's just a blue with kind of a pinstripe racing stripe across the bonnet and roof of it, and that's kind of it. But you can have a look at my Instagram post of those Hot Wheels cars. You can have a look at the other cars and the other liveries. You'll see on the cars when I drive them in the game, you'll see those liveries on there. Have a look down in the description below. There's a lot of other interesting stuff down there as well. But we'll get back to the race at the moment. So we're going down the straight, sort of the middle straight of lap 1. We've got Hayaharu in the Toyota 86 behind us. He's 5/10 behind, of course, firmly in slipstream, so we're not safe from him there. We cut turn 6, sorry, nicely, as we go down Dingle Dell now and through Sheen Curve, turn 7, that's Sheen there, blind entry, you cannot see the apex when you turn in, so you kind of got to always kind of guess where the corner is. Some nice camber on Sterling's Bend there as we go through there, nice, you can just see how much time we streak out to the leader, 1.2 seconds ahead. We skip ahead to the exit of Graham Hill Bend now. You can just see he's actually caught up a little bit of time going through the lap 2 and halfway through lap 3, and we slide it through Surtees. That's not a good idea as it gets a really poor run onto the straight. 6 tenths behind, 5 tenths behind. The Toyota 86 is in the slipstream. Is he going to try and put a move onto me going through Westfield, Dingledale or Sheen? Probably not a good idea on all 3 occasions, but it's not quite going to be enough to get alongside before we have to brake for Westfield, so that is where the gap evens out at 4 tenths behind. But let's see who has the largest gonads as we go through this section here, as this is really what it's about. Who has the largest gonads and who's the most scared they're going to be followed off. I go really wide through Sheen, and oh yes, he's followed me. So that's actually another valid tactic. Through Sheen especially, you can kind of go really wide, and if the person behind you is driving off what you're doing, they can end up going off the track, as obviously their reaction time is slower than you. But have a look up onto the map now, we'll zoom in, guy in second place, let's see, he's really wide, oh he's spun it, he's binned it off the track, oh he's spun it right round as the field goes past him. We just zoom out to see me victorious. So my finishing time there, a 6:10.0, so if the other, what was it, the Alpha Force C guy was still here, that would have been a loss of, what was it, 6:06 or something. It still would have been a loss of about 4 seconds. So, struggling with total race time, but we'll jump on board with the 86 now. He just carries way too much speed through Clark Curve and bins it on the gravel on the outside of the track. Coming back on the track, oh yes, he's just on the power too much and spins it right around. He's actually in second gear as well, so that just goes to show just how powerful these cars can actually really be. And he's trying to get going there, but he's having no luck, and you can just see how far down he's got in 12th place. I don't really know what he was thinking. He was absolutely not going to be able to go for a move from 2 seconds back, especially through Clark Curve. So he's obviously just tried way too hard through Clark Curve, just carrying way too much speed. But we'll have a look at this race now. So this race was a good one. I think I've got the entire race unedited in here, and you can see we're in second place. We've got the guy on pole with a 130.1, I've obviously got a 130.2, so we're very closely matched. In fact, I can probably achieve a 130.1 if I nail every part of the track, but we'll see how we go first, if we can get through lap 1, because we might be binned off at the first corner and it might be a race of recovery, but we'll see how we go. I've got the number 2 planted on my bonnet, so I've got to finish in at least second for DR to increase. Obviously I do want to get up into that first position, as that's where I want to be. But we'll start the race now. Let's see if we can put a move onto the leader. Of course, if he drives a very defensive race, that's going to be very difficult to do. We'll go into turn 1 first and foremost, get a nice run through there, get similar runs through there. So in terms of top speed, I would say that the Megane is probably on par with the 86. Probably not a bullet in the line, but not an Alfa Romeo, if you know what I'm saying. But we'll go through Graham Hill Bend now, a little bit wide through the apex. So this is where I look on the radar down below, and I can see that I6MT Forever. Don't know what that's referring to, but you can see he's down in the radar. He's 3 tenths behind, or less than 3 tenths, pretty much 2 tenths behind now. So that's when I make a mistake like that, my attention immediately turns to someone behind. So you can see he's a tenth behind. Is he going to try and go for a move up into Hawthorne Bend? Probably not a great idea. No, he just backs out. But you can just see while I've been concentrating on the guy in third, the guy in first has actually got out a few tenths on me. But let's put our heads down and let's see if we can get we can catch that gap up. So of course 7 tenths, it doesn't sound like much, but if the leader drives very well, like does qualifying pace around the track, or not necessarily qualifying pace, just races really well, hits all his marks, doesn't make a mistake, 6 tenths can actually take quite a few laps to reel in. But we'll see how we go through there. He just dips a wheel under the gravel coming out of Clark Curve, and that just loses him a little bit of momentum down the straight. And of course I've got the slipstream, so that tiny bit of momentum aided by slipstream can really lead to a big gain from the person behind. And you can see that's exactly what's happened in this instance here. 2/10 behind now. Let's see, is it going to be enough to go for a move up into Druids? I just look for it, but it's not quite going to materialise, as I'm probably didn't carry quite enough speed into there, and it probably would have resulted in contact if I couldn't get it stopped on the apex quick enough. Through Graham Hill, a little bit loose on that massive monster curb, that platform curb on the outside there, but we'll go through Surtees now, slide it through there, but get on the power nice and early. The 86 was a little bit sort of wide on the exit, but it's not to worry, as we're still firmly 2/10 behind in the slipstream. Now, is it going to be enough to go for a move? I think not, as pretty much these next series of right-handers aren't a good place to go for a move. The only kind of valid place would be Sheen if they go wide, but it relies on them going wide and you reacting to that enough. But you can see we're right on the bumper now. It just swipes across the front. Is it going to be enough? I don't think it is. We go through Sheen nicely, just catches up that little bit more time. Up to 4/10. Slide through Sterling's Bend now, and you can see he's a little bit wide on the exit, but we are in the slipstream. We're gaining. Is it going to be enough to go for a move into Clark Curve? I don't think so. He just brakes on his mark perfectly. We get through there nicely. We're on the power. Let's see if we can get down the straight. Okay now. And of course, obviously, a straight leading into a corner with slipstream is a good overtaking opportunity. Paddock Hill Bend. Really, we're just racing sort of equally. It's kind of, no one's got a real advantage at this particular point. The gap just hovering at around 3/10. This is Druids now, probably turned in a little bit early, as that corner actually has a late apex to get the best run through there, through Graham Hill Bend. He's actually quite wide, and that loses him quite a lot of momentum down here, so he's vulnerable into Surtees, probably one of the better overtaking opportunities. He goes narrow to go defensive and goes deep, and I capitalise on that. I'm up the inside, tiny bit of contact on the way through, but it's honestly, that was probably the best move I was going to get through there. So that's it. You can just see we're halfway through lap 3. It's taken that long to catch up that gap, to put the overtake on him. We were 3/10 behind on lap 1, so that really just goes to show just how long it can take to really get the gap back up. But now that I've gone into the leader, I've probably just put the 86, Toyota 86, just sort of off his, what would you call it, sort of off his line of thought, I guess, and you can just see that now that I'm ahead, he's sort of rattled and has lost a second to me. So now that I'm in first place, there's two things you can do. You can go for the fastest lap, or you can play it safe. So I felt as though I've done a couple of races around here, I was quite in control of the game, so I thought, you know what, let's go for a lap around Brands Hatch. So we're going to go through Graham Hill, Paddock Hill Bend. You can use the dip at the bottom to really carry a lot of speed. Druids Bend now, you can slide it through the first part. The second apex is just there, but I just miss it slightly. But you can get it on the power really early in the game. Graham Hill Bend, start to brake on the side of the curb. You want to get around half the car under the curb on the outside and get the whole car up onto that platform curb on the exit there. That is really how you maximise. Surtees now, you don't want to touch the inside curb, you want to get really close to it. You can just see how early you can get on the power through there. But if you touch that inside curb, it can really throw the car wide. Now this straight here, I just forget what it's called. Forget what the straight's called, but nevertheless, brake on the number 1 board going through Hawthorne Bend. Keep it in 4th gear, you can carry quite a lot of speed in there as it's quite an open corner. Brake a little bit more for Westfield Bend, you can really extend the exit of that corner, but don't touch the gravel. Sheen curve, got to be really brave through here. Brake just a little bit, probably not quite cutting that as much as I would like. You can get the outside wheels sort of on top of the curb, that's how far you can cut it. And then Sterling's Bend, ride the camber through there. And you can see through the course of the lap, we've actually streaked out two seconds on Hayate. Now through Clark Curve, you really want to get your braking done nice and early, get your turning done early so you can get on the power as quickly as possible for the pit straight. And that, my friends, is a fastest lap of 1:30.1. It's actually quicker than my qualifying time. But look at that. So total time 6:08. That's only really 2 seconds off what the guy in the 4C in the first race could manage. But I was quite happy with that performance. I would say that's one of my finer performances, one of my best battles that I've had on the game at the moment. But it's not too bad. A victory, starting from second, it's about the best you're going to get. So there we are, celebrating my victory, holding the trophy up in the air. It's a 2-star result, fastest lap and clean race, of course pole position. We didn't have, that is the 3rd star, but it was also a clean race obviously, and that was my 2nd consecutive clean race in a row. So I'm going to leave it there, I'm going to leave you with the taste of victory in your mouth, with the flavour of a victorious result, a fastest lap. It's quicker than my qualifying lap, 1:30.1. That is forever going to go down in the history books as probably my first real showing of true talent. Anyway, that's enough gloating and talking myself up. We'll end the video now before I start doing it again. So I do urge you to click subscribe if you really like to see videos like this in your subscription box every week, and do click that like button to let me know you liked it. Then I know that I can keep doing what I'm doing. But that is the end of the video today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.